I'm Alysson and I'm here with the Baby Lock Capella. The Capella is Baby Lock's single needle free arm embroidery machine, and this machine is perfect if you'd like to start a small business or if your embroidery is your hobby and you just want more options for things you can stitch on easily. The Capella will let us stitch on hats very easily, bags, purses, shirts, onesies. We have so many options of things that we can get around this needle, things that are typically difficult to hoop and stitch on a traditional flatbed single needle embroidery machine. The Capella has an embroidery field of 7 7/8 by 11 inches. Really good size embroidery field, and it comes with a hoop of that size and a 4 by 4 inch hoop. The Capella will stitch up to 1,000 stitches per minute. It has 175 different built-in designs, including sashiko designs and a Puffy Font, which is really fun on hats. It also has a built-in bobbin winder and an automatic needle threader. And best of all, it has a needle beam crosshair for correct placement of our designs. This way we can make sure that our designs are going to stitch exactly where we want on our project. And this is a game changer for the single needle embroidery machines. So let's take a look at what we can do on the Capella. We can work with some of the 175 different built-in designs, or we can work with a design that we have pulled from our computer, a USB, or a saved design on the machine. When I set the design on the machine, it's going to show me how big my design is and which hoop I can stitch out in depending on where my design is placed. And I can tell that by which box is highlighted, which frame is highlighted above my editing box. We can change the size of our design. We can increase it by 20% or decrease the size by 10%. We can rotate the design around by 90 degrees, 10 degrees, or 1 degree, and then I can reset it with the touch of a button. We can also change the colors so that we can see what this might look like if we decided to use different colors than the design was originally digitized with. And I can also copy this design. We can either copy and paste one so I can place this wherever I like, or I can use our border function. And this will allow me to copy an exact copy of what my design is directly above or to the side. So I can fill up my hoop with whatever design I like and stitch out multiple of them. This is perfect for patches. I can also remove whichever ones I don't want. And that brings us right back to where we started. So we're going to do a little bit of stitching. We're going to stitch out on this extra small puppy t-shirt, and we're going to hoop this in our 4 by 4 inch hoop. This is the perfect size for that. So I've got my crosshair, and we're going to create our design. So we're going to use our little paw here. I'm going to make sure that it is the smallest that I can make it. And I want this to fit in that small box right there that's highlighted. So I'm going to move my design as far down as I can and still keep that box highlighted. And I'm going to watch for it to go away. And then when it does, I'm just going to bring the design up a couple of clicks. There we go, it'll fit. Now I'm going to add in a name. So we're going to go to our fonts, and I'm going to type out Penelope. We have capital letters, lowercase letters, special characters, numbers, and all of our punctuation here. Now, as we start typing the word in, we can change the font from large, medium, and small. We can also array the font and have it curve in this direction, or we can have it reversed and curve the other direction. And we can also adjust the slant of that curve. So for this particular stitch, what we're going to do is have it curve around the paw from above and I'm going to set my design. Now, as you can see, this is a little bit too big to fit into our 4x4. My little hoop disappeared up here. But what I'm going to do is resize this until my hoop shows up. Still not quite there. There we go. I'm going to bring it up just a bit. And I'm going to take a look and see what this will look like once I've stitched it out in my 4x4 hoop. So I can see I've still got a little bit of space up here that I could play with if I like, but I'm going to leave it exactly the way it is because I think that's going to look perfect. So now let me get the project hoop and we'll start stitching. So I have my little puppy t-shirt hooped, and as you can see, I've got a good chalk mark there to show me where the middle is and where I want the middle of my design to be. So what I'm going to do is put this onto the machine. And then we're going to use the crosshair laser to get this lined up. Now when I put this on the machine, I just want to make sure that the bottom of the shirt goes all the way around that free arm. And we are good to go. All right. So I'm telling it that I like the design and it's placed exactly where I like the design. And we're going to place it exactly where we want it. So one of the things that we can do is use our positioning. The crosshair in the hoop will show me exactly where the boundaries of my design are. And I can see here with the green crosshair where my laser is in my hoop. So based on that, I can shift my entire design up and in either direction I like. Now, as far as using the laser to make sure that everything is positioned exactly correctly, we're going to use this button here. And we're going to use the center of the design. And I'm going to move it exactly in the direction that we need to go. So I'm going to click here. So I'm going to let it know where the center of my design is and line up the crosshair with the middle of my crosshair. So it's going to be in the same place. And now on the second step, I'm going to show it where the right side, where my right arrow is going. And that is just about perfect. So then if it needed to be shifted, it will shift for us. And then we're ready to stitch. Now that you've seen how easy it is to stitch designs exactly where you want on the Baby Lock Capella, let's take a look at this Puffy Font. The very last stitch we have built in is a design for puffy fonts. So what that means is we're going to put a layer of puffy foam on our hat so that the letters and numbers look raised whenever we stitch them out. The reason why this is so important to have built into a machine is usually you have to go out and purchase a font, put each letter in individually, know to slow the machine down, and then make sure that it's stitching and maybe go over your design a couple of times. With this font built in, the machine's already going to know to slow the stitch down. It's going to make sure to cover all of our foam appropriately so that we don't have any bare spots. So I already have a hat hooped, and what we're going to put on this is Gigi. So we can see how big our frame space is with this dotted line for what will fit on the hat. And as you can see, my letters are they're right at the right size for the hat. But what we're gonna do is size this down just a bit. And then I'm also gonna bring the spacing in so that it's not as wide and not too wide for my hoop. So we're gonna bring it in just like that. And this is how it would stitch out. The machine will automatically rotate the design upside down to accommodate for the hat. There you go, fits like a glove. So now let's get this stitched out.